Peace to the family. I'm out here on a beautiful sunny day, getting ready to fly out again, and just wanted to communicate with you all about success and the metaphysics of it thereof. Definitely want to talk to y'all about success. It's been a while since I've been on. I've been doing a lot of traveling. I'm actually a little scruffy. I got to get a haircut. Just been chilling with the family, enjoying myself. Thanks for the happy birthday love. Just basically wanted to be more introspective this birthday before I do all the turning up. I'm going to do that some days after. But for these days, I just wanted to have a more intimate connection with my most immediate family, spend time with them, and share wisdom, impart wisdom to my family. And of course, you guys are definitely my family as well. And so I just wanted to talk to you all and connect with you. Thanks a lot. Just wanted to talk to you all and connect with you about success. You know, because I could turn up better than anybody else, and I will. But right now, I want to walk my way into it. Last year, I was running up in clubs like 20 women, and everyone holding my face in their hands, signs, brother Polight face. You call my act. She keeps calling me, tell her I'm live. Of course, it's the beautiful, the lovely, the one and only, the amazing, the Sutet. I'm in that center too, Ray. Of course.
New look, new look.
New look, new look. New look like this, new look, I'm in that. Yeah, so I'll just make sure you share this video. It's very important. It's about the metaphysics of success. You calling, baby girl?
Yep.
It's about the metaphysics of success. I'm out here just relaxing. Nothing major. Staying calm. I got so much promising things taking place that I have to really count my blessings. So much so that I'm like, it'd be wrong and it'd be superficial to just get drunk, party, and have people shaking their booties. All at my pleasure, of course. But to jump into that during the time where the planets align for me to come into this world, it's just not the right direction right now. Because of the way that I'm feeling. How do you measure your friendship with people? Hold on, let me read this question. Okay, hold on. It says, how do you measure brother or family by any means Rick? Brother any means Rick asks, how do you measure your friendship with people? I'm sure you wouldn't treat someone who's paying to hang with you the same as Floyd Mayweather. I'm not sure. I think you need to add more context to what you're asking me. Treat someone that's paying to be with me the same as a Floyd Mayweather. That's a very interesting thing, because oftentimes when people pay for hours on end consultations, what I normally do is I deal with them like they're anybody else. Depending on what I got going on during the day, they're more than welcome. Plenty of people I've mentored. If it was a stretch Hummer day, I'm with it. You know, if they're paying hours on end to spend time with me so they can pick my brain, so to speak, pause, then I'm gonna roll with them throughout the day. Mature, I'm in that. You need to mature. If I'm gonna spend time with someone for hours on end, I'm gonna connect with them on a brother level. So it doesn't matter if it's Mayweather. It doesn't matter if it's Puff when I'm at his crib. It don't matter who it is. It's just love all the way around the board. And it's about chemistry. So I'm not going to connect with people the same exact way, but I'm always going to give the best version of myself as it relates to chemistry in retrospect to whoever it is that I may be dealing with. So everyone gets the best version of me depending on the circumstance of the situation. If I'm supposed to be a teacher in that hour because it suffices for me to teach, it wouldn't matter who it is. I'm going to teach. Doesn't matter who. If I'm supposed to be listening during that hour, no matter who you are, I'm going to be listening during that hour. So I don't discriminate amongst how to befriend people. And I'm just answering the question. I don't calculate the manner in which I'm going to be a friend to this person. And that transcends anything I get paid for, because I don't get paid to be someone's friend. I don't get paid to be nobody's friend. However, I extend my friendship at every opportunity to whomever, if given the opportunity to do so. So that'd be the answer for that. Before you took the leap, this is brother Nate Notez. This is cool, y'all asking the questions. Before you took the leap into any of your successful businesses, were you scared to put your money up? That's interesting. Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. When will you debate again? I appreciate and proud of your growth, but I need the old Polight back one time. Let me address the old Polight stuff. And we're going to deal with the metaphysics of success. It's very important. But for those of you that want the old Polight, just watch an old video. That's what you do. Get into the old content and you can keep that. But you got to appreciate evolution. You got to appreciate growth. If I stayed the same way for 10 years, I would tell you shouldn't even be listening to me. Why you want me to stay in the same space? Why you want me to stay on the streets doing debates while you can aspire to do better every year? No, I did that during that era. It was a good run, and now I'm done. I'm not dealing with that. Now, it may happen. I may be walking and, I got to deal with that. But let younger people look at the archives, let them get into it, and let them find themselves and participate in the movement in that particular capacity. Let them do that. But I got to continue to evolve. And then I got a family, I got children, I got wives, and I need to make sure that I can give them more of my time, because I gave them very less of my time, a very little bit of my time, pardon me, during those runs. Touring all over the place, doing this lecture, doing that lecture. That's really a single man's game. I got away with it because my family is very supportive. But at some point, I got to know how to relent before I lose them. Or I don't even get a chance to see my children grow. I want to see my children grow. So I love teaching. I love debating. I love being on those streets. But then also, as your status changes, people are bringing more to the conversation than what suffice. As your status changes, people are more concerned about your success, and they're angry about what you do and what you don't do, with what they speculate upon as it relates to your success. And I don't need to deal with all of that. So there's a point where I'm just not supposed to even subject myself to certain types of situations like that. It's just real. When you're dealing with people frustrated about their experience, and then they see how you've evolved and you've grown. If I was to still be the old time Polight, y'all would say, man, how he over here talking to us, preaching to us in the community, and I found out he be hanging out with this star and that celebrity, and he live in this area, you will feel away. And then when I don't do it, you feel away. I can't win that. So what I gotta do is do what's best for my family and for my growth. But I'll tell you this, I am getting back in the debate ring, and it's gonna be a controlled forum, of course. I will be doing that, and y'all find out more about that as it's developing. I'm just making sure that the money's right. I normally do all the promotions and everything like that. I handle the food, I handle the pay-per-views, all that. But on this particular time around, so long as the money's right, I'll be back in the ring. Otherwise, you want something done, you gotta do it yourself. I'm still gonna do it, but then I gotta be more involved, and then I gotta work it into my schedule. Hopefully people can deal with me right, and I'll be back in that ring. And I'll do a different video about that, so we don't digress. I want to stick to the metaphysics of success. but I will be definitely getting back in the ring. I'm just seeing what people talking about to make sure it makes sense for what I'm dealing with. You all right? Yeah, I just want to make sure it makes sense. So long as it makes sense, I'm with it. Just gotta make sense. I ain't gonna tell you no more. We're gonna do a debate stream. We're gonna do a stream about debate so we can introduce it. That's what we'll do. But you know, I'm pretty sure it's gonna work out, and it'll take place in a few months, probably inside of 3 months. I'll be back. You know, it's gonna be blockbuster, but it gotta make sense because you know, I bring the people out. It's a fact. Any debate you seen after mine, where's them people at? Where the people at? You know what I bring to the table. So, and you know I make the best effort. If I gotta travel to another country, I'm gonna do so. So I'm not here to half step. When I give the people my presentation, I give them the best version of myself. I put out the books, I put out the PowerPoints, I travel across the world, I bring back my findings, and I'm extra prepared. And I never really get a chance to use near 10% of what I have ready to present because I've learned how to build my presentation during the whole process. I build my presentation during their arguments so I can make something custom made and tell it fit for the person doing the debate. I don't play games. If y'all watch my last several debates, y'all be like, man, I make my presentation during the debate. No game. Yeah. So, you know, I would like to do 2 again a year. I would like to. But it just got to be professional. I don't want to deal with none of the negativity that you see going on in the conscious community, the way brothers and sisters communicate with each other. I just want to get to the work. It's going to still be fun, still going to be positive and progressive. But my children got to watch these things, and I don't need them to see me acting like a fool to match someone else acting like a damn fool. I don't want to be part of that. But I can still make it entertaining and very fun and issue the information in a way where it's very coherent. In addition to you just saying, you know what, this is all good. It's been a great experience. I want it to be a great experience for everybody. All right? So I'm definitely with it. Yeah, so let's get back to the metaphysics of success. And what I want to share with you all as I come to terms with what I have going on in the undertakings that exist, I just like to say this to you guys. Your heart, there's a reason why in ancient Egypt, the word for the heart is ib. And ib means mental or intellect. Because when your heart is created, it's created at its inception with 40,000 neurons. And that's some powerful stuff. The heart is created with over 40,000 neurons. So the heart in itself is a brain. If that's not enough, the heart is connected to the brain by way of the vagus nervous system. And if that's not enough, understand that all your major organs need sugar to facilitate their cause. But the heart as an organ does not, because, what's up, gang? Because if the heart used sugar to contract for its diastole or systole phases, then it would have to produce lactic acid, and then that would cause you to die. That's a whole nother conversation. But just understand, that's why your heart doesn't use sugar. But it's connected to the brain that's made up of more sugar than the rest of your organs, which is also interesting. So we understand that's where the sugar facilitation comes from. All right? Because like I said, if it uses sugar like all the other organs, it'd have to produce lactic acid in the wake of it being tired or getting exhausted. When that formulates around the muscle, then there has to be a break, there has to be a breather. We can't have your heart taking more breaks than the one that it's supposed to take per every heartbeat. That's about as much as break as you want. And always understand that a person could go brain dead and still be alive, but you can never go heart dead and manage to maintain your existence. You could go brain dead, but you can't go heart dead. So that's very important. Very important. So what we've learned here is that the heart in itself is a form of brain, and if nothing else, it's also connected to the brain. And we realize because it's more electric and it's more magnetic, that is actually the conveyor for what you should do and how you should do it when it comes to the human body. The heart is the one that makes the decree as to what to do. So the heart is the seat of consciousness. This is why the ancestors would take the brain out the nose and discard it. What's up, man? Peace. You'd take the brain out the nose and discard it. But the heart, that was put in a special place, special job. And then remember that the heart was weighed on a scale against a feather. But if the heart is mind or the heart is mental, then what they're saying when you go into the judgment halls, or when you transcend this reality, or the afterlife as they say, understand that it's the mind, it is consciousness being weighed against the feather. And if your heart is heavy, we're talking about guilt, we're talking about doubt, we're talking about regret. You feel what I'm saying? I'm in that like, yeah, talk that talk.
That's right.
Yeah. She's like, I hear in the background, catching the spirit. That's what's up. So when they talk about your heart is heavy, they talking about your consciousness, regret, doubt. And this is why I tell you, in our ancient tradition, in our ancient African archetypal conception, doubt is disrespect to the ancestors. See if we can get here real quick. I ain't gonna be on long. It's better? Oh, let's definitely get that coconut water. So, doubt, regret, fear, all of those things are disrespectful to your creator, to the spirit forces that conspire to see to it that you exist. Now let's go a step further, because we're talking about the metaphysics of success. So you may say, what's all this got to do with it? But the first thing you got to understand when it comes to the metaphysics of success is how integral the heart, how integral a role the heart plays in success. To be successful, you have to have a lot of heart. And it's because the heart is your seat of consciousness. And when you were brought into this world, your first organ is that heart. So therefore, the first thing we can say about you coming into this world, your entrance was a conscious entrance coming into this world. All right? So now we know that the heart pumps this blood. This blood circulates, and when we talk about any type of circumambulation or circulation in general or going in circular motions, we have to now say, okay, the blood is being, the blood is being, and you see, you got to understand how it magnetizes to the world, but that's another conversation, man. I'll tell you, I carry a different energy because of the way I be thinking. And again, these thoughts are processed by way of the heart. This is what our ancestors understood. So now we're talking about having a magnetic property or a magnetic quality. This is the part of the video where you start sharing it. Because now that I know that the heart is a facilitator of consciousness in this plane. Now that I know the heart is the facilitator of consciousness, now I ask myself, what is the heart doing to the naked eye? On a mundane level, we know the heart to be that which pumps the blood. Remember, even in your Bible, there's two words for heart. There's ib and there's lave. One is when they speak about the heart that talks to other people. Oh, my heart was hurt, or my heart grieved. When they say things like that, that's one representation of the heart. And then when they talk about the heart that pumps the blood, that's another representation. The two different words for heart in Hebrew is ib and lave. And there's a reason for that, because even then, that culture, and it really wasn't called Hebrews, but I'm not going to deal with that. Ancient Phoenicians made a distinction amongst the communicative heart, the conscious heart, and the actual heart that pumps blood. Though they're the same origin, they described the different faculties of the same. So now what I need you to do is realize this. And then again, the ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, the Remetu, they also identified the heart as being the mental seat. That's why the word heart is defined as intellect, defined as mind. And that's why mind is on the scale against a feather. But then when we're talking about creating universe or matter, matter is precipitated by plasma. All matter is precipitated by plasma. You have to have plasma in its origin. You got to have plasma in you. Universe has to have plasma for it to be created. Why does that matter? because you can't have plasma without magnetism. You can't have magnetism without electricity. So now we look at the heart and we realize the heart is a magnet, and we look at the feather because the feather represents static electricity. Then we know magnetism is being weighed against electricity, and now we're looking at that which is electromagnetic, and we're talking about leaving this world, going into another, and the inception of every world is precipitated by way of plasma. What we got to understand is with the ancestors, they normally had a triune way of conveying information. So you had the archetypal, which is nature, you have the ectypal, which is astral, and then you have the typal, which is terrestrial. So there's 3 different registers. So whenever you read the Book of Gates, Book of Dead, or the Apocrypha Shipama Wood, right? Whenever you read the Book of Gates or the Amduat, they normally have information that you gotta read, and it's in 3 different columns, right? Or if it's 5 columns, it's the top, the middle, and the bottom. And the top one is archetypal, and then which deals with nature, and then the middle register is what they call it that you're reading, deals with ectypal, or that which is ectypal, which is astral, and then the bottom register that you read deals with what? The typal, which is terrestrial. So we had to learn how to read like that. You know, they was into chiromancy. This is information that we got to dig into, where we realized there was the significance of the left hand, the significance of the right hand. And sometimes you'll notice when you go to Egypt, there's statues with 2 left hands or statues with 2 right hands, okay? And the left hand would be the one to take in, and the right hand be the one to give or to facilitate. So having 2 left hands or 2 right hands, or having people hold the same hand or opposite hands, it was all engendered around a certain principle. Or seeing a statue with a navel versus seeing a statue without a navel will tell me that if it was without a navel, that now we're looking at this from a what? A ectypal disposition. Now we're looking at this from an astral disposition. But a statue with a navel with 2 left hands is now going to tell me something totally different. We're going to get out of that. I don't want to digress, but I just want you to understand, our ancestors, they just be looking like a statue to people. And then somebody turn around, that's 2 left hands with no navel? And then you look at the registers of the different columns, and then you got to realize, when you read the upper columns, you got to think nature. And when you read the middle columns, when they convey the information, you got to think astral. And if you read in the bottom columns, you got to think terrestrial. And you couple that with the architecture, you couple that with the designs, you couple that with the ambiance, the aesthetics, and you really get a concept of what's going on here. But they spoke based on their apperception. So when you study in Kemet, you're looking at the mythic apperception of primeval man, or I should say an interpolation of what they were doing creates what's called the mythic apperception of primeval man. All right, but this is a whole nother conversation. A whole nother conversation. I'm doing my best not to digress. There's so much stuff I want to share that when I get there, I just say it. Hopefully it puts you in route, or you remind me to talk about it at a different time for a different stream. Okay? Word. It's real talk. This is real talk. Thank you for appreciating the information, family. Don't delete this video. I need to save this. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, and remember, if you're interested in the mentorship program, always hit me up at brotherpolight45@gmail.com. But right now, we're talking about the metaphysics of success. Thank you, Honorable Ankamun October. Appreciate you. Amin Ra Farah. Or Farah, pardon me. Don't delete this. I hear you. I won't. Vincent, thank you. I wish I would have had you come with me when I went to Egypt to break the real history down. Thanks, Eric. But at least you was there. You're just going to remember these things when they manifest. It's just like having the cobra on their heads. They wore the cobra on their heads because the cobras don't have eyelids. So the aesthetics behind that, or the beauty behind this interpretation now that's being conveyed, is one of the ruler can never sleep on their enemies. So they will put the cobra right where the third eye is to suggest that that's the one eye that remains open no matter what, because the cobra don't have lids. So you see, it's always the world of symbolism that they deal with. Somebody be like, oh, they worship the serpent and everything like that. Nah, that's not what it is. That's just not what's going on. there's a science behind it. So even when we made associations to different animals in nature, there was, because they was respecting the principles, and which makes that animal so specific, because each animal represented something that transpires in the cosmos on a microscopic scale. And it was their way, they had a very acute and effective way of conveying information that's complex. They stored it in their art. And to the naked eye, these people just worshipped animals and did a lot of weird things. It may even been considered stupid in other instances, unbeknown to the spectator, that they kind of encoded, in a cryptic sense, they cryptid encoded themes that transpire in nature through their art, out of the love for nature, or their apperception, their understanding of what's transpiring in nature. Very, very dope people. But yeah, we're gonna go back to the metaphysics of success. We got the coconut. Yeah, I know we gotta do this every day. Gotta do this every day. We got to do this every day.
You got it?
It's not life if we don't do that. Okay. Come on, give me a second. You know, I always say I love you, especially when I'm drinking water. So the frequency, so the molecules can be impacted, so I can consume the love that I just projected, the love that I just put forth, the love I just put out in the universe. I always think love before I drink, and I always shake my water before I drink it, because it creates negative hydrogen ions. It actually helps enforce the alkalinity of water if you shake it before you drink it. Facts. And if you're thinking love or something of a high frequency, it changes the molecular structure of the liquid you're drinking, particularly in the case of water. That's a fact. So I like to think in high frequency terms and thoughts, so it can change the molecular structure of the water. And then I like to drink the very thought that I had, take it in with me, and I carry it everywhere I go. Kareem Jefferson said, "You're better than Google Facts." That's what's up.
Well, you need napkins.
Yeah. You know, when I teach,
That knowledge got you.
I was about to say, when I teach, I be getting hot. People be thinking it's always just a hot day like that. I'm always walking.
True.
Because I pace around when I be thinking. So I just decided when I do my streams, it suffices to just walk. Because otherwise, I'm going to be pacing back and forth in the house, distracting everybody. Yeah, so we're going to go back to the metaphysics of success. Yes, we definitely do teach economic sovereignty in the mentoring program. Remember, I also do consultations. Hey, look at her. Look at my beautiful girl. Hold on, come right now. Beautiful young lady break. Whoa, look how pretty she is. Hey, Matt, say hi to the people.
Hi.
That's what's up. Look how beautiful she is. My little girl growing up. My goodness. Taller, taller, taller. Look how tall she getting. Okay, so you go to brotherpolight45@gmail.com when you're interested in consulting, which is $200 an hour or $300 an hour in person. Thank you, Dante. And we'll make it work. We'll definitely make it work. We'll definitely make it work. I want to just thank you guys for just being so positive. I really appreciate you all. And we're going to get back to the focus, man. Get back to the focal point. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Anita. Said that baby girl is so beautiful.
You sure is.
Larry Samuel. Tombstone. Beautiful queen. Yeah, she's always positive. Where she went? What store? Clothes store. Wonder where she get that from.
She's in
Yeah,
there with
definitely
her ex.
coconut water. Definitely that was coconut water. What's going on? This ain't no Red Bull in here. That's what Red Bull attempting to accomplish. Brother POLIGHT45@gmail.com. Let's go back to the metaphysics of success. Part of the metaphysics of success is definitely having a powerful black woman give you the support. All right, and we're gonna tie it in. Let's really get to the work. Let's really do some work here, right? Can you hold this for me real quick?
Okay.
Great. Great. Let's get to work. Let's really get to work. All right. So. All right. Now I'm excited.
Oh my goodness.
Hands free. Hands free.
You doing too much.
Nah, let's go. Nah, hands free. So now I can really get it in. So let's do this. Part of the metaphysics of success is to always have a supporting cast of women, to preference black women, helping you with your goals. Okay. When it comes to men and women, one is the motivator, one is the activator, right? So we know sex can be a motivational piece, right? That is activated by way of the woman. So we know that one is the motivator and one is the activator. It's a fact. One is the motivator, one is the activator. And we get interchange these roles. But understand, male and females play that role. We look at it better, we know one side is negative and one side is positive. But let's take a look at the woman who's considered a female, and we know the woman is a man with a womb, right? She's the womb man, or the man is one without. Let's do it like that, because we know everybody has to pass through a woman before it's ordained if they'll even become a man during the gestation process. We understand this. So let's move forward. A female, if we go on the periodic table of elements, Fe equals what? Iron. So we know she's an iron male. And therefore we've also been able to come to the conclusion scientifically that females traditionally are created when there's more iron available in contrast to zinc. This is just what it is. So it's no coincidence that Fe on the periodic table of elements equals iron. Fe equals iron. And therefore it's hinting at something. It's the iron female, because women demand more iron than men do. Facts. Even when you look at their cycle and they go through their discharge and their menstruation, they need to replace the iron, very much so. With the right amount of iron that a woman takes in, it makes her even more magnetic in quality. More magnetic. And black women demand more iron than any other women. So it's just very interesting to see the Fe iron. Let's go back to the heart, because we're always in love with this black woman. When we establish a perfect union and harmony with the black woman, we become more magnetic in property as a union, and also separate when we go our ways. But let's continue to think about this. So now that we know Fe is iron, she's the iron female, and it hints at the fact that she needs more iron. Why is iron more important, or so important for this particular model? Well, now we go to the heart, and we know that it is a conscious seat. We know that the vagus nervous system is a set of nerves, or a network of nerves that connects the heart with the brain. We know that the brain in its inception is made up of relatively the same thing as a heart for the most part as far as neurons is concerned, because when you come into this world, there's over 40,000 neurons. The culmination of these neurons, 40,000 plus in number, creates the heart. So we know the heart is a form of a brain that's also connected to the brain by way of the vagus nervous system. We understand all these different things. We also know that it's more magnetic and it's more electric, thousands of times over than the heart. So we know that it conveys to the heart what to do for the rest of the body. So we either can be brain conscious or we can be heart conscious. Being brain conscious is a contradiction, but this society teaches us to do so. We have to learn how to be heart conscious. We know that ancestors called the heart Ib, which means mental or intellect. We know they weighed the heart against a feather on the scale of Ma'at during the Hall of Justice in the afterlife. And we know that is like saying mind over matter, technically. When you think about it, when you weigh it on the scale, you become more physical or more mental when you leave this planet. Very empowering information. But what we're going to do now is say that what does the heart do on a regular scale? What does the heart do? It pumps blood. And this blood is made up of what? Hemoglobin and all this other stuff, iron. And then what happens with the iron? Well, anytime metal goes through a circumambulation, particularly iron, just like the planet Earth, that circular format or narrative, that direction, that facilitation causes electricity, causes an EM field. And you can't have electricity without magnetism. You can't have magnetism without electricity. So we create an electromagnetic thing about ourselves. Just like with the planet Earth, at the center, we know that there is metal at the core. And the spinning of the planet Earth creates an EM field, or creates what's called the magnetosphere. So you are a microcosm of the planet Earth, and you too create a magnetic field around you. But your magnetic field is precipitated by the way that you think. And when you get excited about ideas, it causes your heart to beat differently, which means it impacts your electromagnetivity. What does all this mean? Your consciousness creates a magnetism based on what? What you think. So it's called time cell perception. The way you think causes your heart to collapse upon itself a certain way. That if you think more intensely, you create a certain type of algorithm. It's called alphabetical symmetry, all right? Which causes the heart to collapse upon itself, which makes waves both multiply and subtract itself. Add and subtract itself simultaneously. This is called recursion, right? So recursive waves are created, and then a mandible set is produced when your heart collapses upon itself accurately, right? When you really focusing on creating goals or ideas, your heart will collapse on itself in specific formations that makes the waves recursive, that both add and multiply, I should say, pardon me, both add and multiply. These are recursive waves, and then in turn it creates what's called a mandible set, which looks like an actual heart. Now, this is not the Kiki where you love me dance. This is the image of the heart. We know the heart doesn't look like this. We know that the actual heart, the heart does not look like this, that shape. But we know the electromagnetic pulse that comes from your heart when it properly collapses on itself through phase conjugation and coherent heart frequency. We know that there's an electromagnetic wave that's shaped like the heart that leaves from the heart that doesn't look like it. So how did our ancestors know that's how the heart looks? That's another conversation. But understand this: the fact that the heart pumps blood, the fact that the heart is the facilitator of consciousness, the fact that iron being circulated creates your EM field, tells us that your magnetism is predicated upon how strong your thought process is and what exactly you think about. So this is the science behind what you think coming to reality. Many of you understand your downfall more than you understand the likelihood of your success. So many of you cannot come out of failure, cannot come out of the hood, cannot come out of poverty, because you're always worried about, what if I don't make the money? What if this doesn't work out? You know, oh, my man did something and it didn't work out when he attempted something. So many of you understand that. Remember fear we talked about earlier. Many of you understand the likelihood of you not succeeding, so much so that you create it around yourself. You become a magnet for the people to do wrong by you. You become a magnet for you to make the decision that isn't best for you. You become a magnet for the environments that you shouldn't be in, but you really should, because you think the way you belong. You believe in your failure more than you believe in your success. You confide in your failure more than you confide in your success. Now, we could just get you to tweak the system. Like when you learn about black greatness, you learn what? Malcolm X was great, he got shot. Martin Luther King was great, he got shot. Marcus Garvey was great, he got deported. Osama bin Laden Muhammad was great, he got locked up. You see, every time you learn about black leaders being great, it becomes synonymous with death, with murder. And then on top of it, when you get conscious, you want to see images of us being raped, lynched, and castrated. So when you start learning about real estate and the possibility of you getting new homes, you start thinking, well, the white man's going to come and take it anyway. Or he's going to go lock you up because you're smart. So in other words, it doesn't work. So this is where the fear of success comes in, because you associate negativity with the possibilities of all the things that can be great for you. So this is why you become a magnet for failure, because your magnetism was precipitated by your heart that beats differently based on how captivated you are by the ideas that you have. Captive, you can be held captive. So if you're captivated by negative ideas, you're held captive in that idea. You're locked in. And this is why I suggest that you envision your greatest ideas inside of a tetra, which is it's the smallest thing that the universe is made up of, because we're in a pixelated, simulated universe. So just as a picture, when you stretch it out to its biggest size, you realize that it's pixelated. The universe is made up of planks that are consisting of tetras. So I always suggest that you encapsulate your ideas or your thoughts inside of a tetrahedron and place it in there so you can secure your reality. Store your thoughts in the image of a tetrahedron. This is why you have to learn about the 5 platonic solids. This is why you have to understand the matrix and the significance of a dodecahedron, which is what the DNA looks like from the uppermost point looking down, especially the Earth as well. You know, the dodecahedron is very powerful. The isosahedron is very powerful as well. But all 5 of the platonic solids is very important. The tetrahedron is great. You know, we have to learn through sacred geometry what kind of energies is being precipitated by these shapes and how to use it to empower us in this particular reality, how to actualize our thoughts. I know all this sounds like mumbo jumbo. I can talk that real estate stuff to you, and I will. I will do that more times than often, because when I talk this information, no matter how much information I'm taking my time out to convey to you, to let you know, I'm not making this up. This is not me watching The Secret and people just saying a lot of positive things that we can use to empower us. For me personally, in order for me to accept this information, I needed a step-by-step process to see what was the mechanics behind it. I felt that the science world shouldn't contradict the so-called metaphysics world, and that's when I found out that metaphysics wasn't that which is beyond physical, but actual physics. There was a point in physics where science was at a standstill, and so they said anything that comes after classical physics from this point forward will be rendered metaphysics. So metaphysics is physics such as quantum physics, or quantum chromodynamics, or superstring theory. Okay, that's what metaphysics is. Metaphysics is still science. It's still a culmination of facts. It's not something that you just got to believe about. It's something that actually exists. Through scientific method, we can actualize these realities. We can say that this thing actually is true. Okay, and then that means there's a way we can approach it so we can get relatively the same results over and over every time we practice it. So the number one thing is to constantly read what you're interested in, to associate yourself with the people that have a connectivity or similar affinity to the things that you are interested in, to watch film or listen to music that has some relativity to that which you're interested in. And in doing so, your heart will begin to beat in conformity to the ideas that you need to become magnetic to, meaning the right people, places, and things you will be connected to. This means I will be walking outside and I would be thinking left, but my legs would just take me right. And for whatever reason, had I not gone that side of the street, I would never bumped into this person who came into my life, not for me, but just to introduce me to someone else. Then they disappeared, and that's when my path began, and all of a sudden I'm doing the very thing I always wanted to do. And we thought this was just chance, but it wasn't chance. It's called time cell perception. Based on how excited you are about an idea, it causes your heart to beat, which is to say, collapse on itself in ways to produce the magnetism that you need for people to be impelled to come to you that you need, for you to be compelled to go to people that you need, for you to be in places that you need to be in, and for you to just by chance say the right thing for someone else to hear it, to connect with you, to create the possibilities that all exist. Every possibility exists for you. To be a bum, that possibility exists for you. That's a fact. To be successful, that possibility exists for you. Okay, but always remember, the iron that is inside of your blood has to circulate, and because the heart is a brain, the heart is the seat of consciousness, the fact that your seat of consciousness is responsible for what? When that iron starts circulating, anytime metal circulates, it creates magnetism. And if your heart is made up of 40,000 neurons, which means it's a brain, and it's also connected to the brain by way of a vagus nervous system, right? And the ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, called the heart that was weighed on the scale id, and id means mind or intellect. They threw away the brain, they kept the heart, because they said this is where we think from. If the heart is responsible for circulating the blood that has the iron in it, that gets circulated, anytime iron goes through any kind of circumambulation, it creates magnetism, then that means your consciousness makes you magnetic to person, places, and things. So if you think negative, that's what you bring in your reality. If you think positive, that's what you bring in your reality. Facts. You know what I'm saying? You caught the spirit. You ain't get mad at it. So your thinking will precipitate your success. This is the metaphysics of success, people. This is what I want to share with you. And then if you want to compound interest, what you can now say is the female, the iron male, the species of the human race that demands more iron, can help us usher in the success momentum that is required. So now we realize the greatest men in the world have the most or the best in-depth or most abundant woman supporting cast. And when you look at the matrix of how businesses are set up, you normally see nothing but women helping facilitate that business. Because women bring the idea to fruition. Facts. So the name of the game has been to teach you to oppress women. Because when you oppress them, they're angry with you. And when they're angry with you, they think thoughts that bring you to your demise. So you don't want them mad at you. Because they can actualize it in the physical, but they definitely can't actualize it in the incorporeal. So when a woman supports you and is in conformity with your vision, she helps usher it into this reality a whole lot quicker. I mean, you were only animated within the confines of the womb in the first place. You was nothing, and then you was created. Think about that. That's wild. You looking for magic, look at birth. That's magic. You got flesh, bones, blood, all sorts of stuff that separates from her. And then you walk around here and you want to oppress her. That's wild how they taught you that. That's wild, but it's not wild, and it's not by chance. They know the key to our oppression is to oppress ourselves, especially in the case of women through chauvinism, misogyny. They know this is what destroys our dreams. And this is why she winds up with fibroids. Because when she feels hindered in creativity, they start to grow. And the correspondence with feeling hindered in creativity is craving sugars, especially in the form of dairy products. And that's what causes the fibroids. Because every appetite or craving we have corresponds with an unresolved emotion. Appetite is a response to an unresolved emotion that has to be suppressed periodically on intervals. And this is why you may crave sugar for love deprivation and want a cigarette because they put plum juice or maple syrup in it. Or you may want crack or cocaine, a synthetic form of oxytocin, the binding hormone. When you get a high off of life, whenever you do something right for somebody you probably wasn't even thinking about doing it, or you sacrifice for someone and you see the impact it has for somebody, or you find some money in the street, or you get your money back from an investment, or you get paid for doing that job, and you actually got paid the right amount of money, oxytocin is produced, you get a high, you get this tingling feeling in your back, and you just feel like doing it again. You would feel like working if you was compensated properly. Okay, it's the same thing that's produced when she breastfeeds a child, that gives her an affinity to her child and makes her more protective of her child and more caring of her child. Nature set it up like that, that when she breastfeeds, she's more loving of her child. So the way a kind of man taught us is that, oh, it's not that important to breastfeed. So it's not that important for her to have that connection to her child. You may say she's not losing her connection by not breastfeeding. There's a stronger connection that's created through hormones that are produced upon breastfeeding called oxytocin, which is also called the bonding hormone, because whatever is responsible for that hormone being secreted or produced causes you to bond to that part of existence. So when I do hard work and I actually get paid properly for my hard work and labor, oxytocin is produced. It causes me to bind to that concept, meaning I don't mind working hard again so I can be compensated. It feels good. When I invest in something and I get my return, it feels so good. I don't mind investing again because I'm bonding to the fact that when I invested, I need to get that high off of life again. But when you work for people and you don't get the money that you don't get the high that most people get out of life. And when you don't get the high that you are supposed to get out of life, you now seek a synthetic form of the same. In turn, you start smoking crack or doing coke because now you need to find a way to get the high because this existence is all about getting high. Let me explain something to you, and this is a fact. To get to life, you have to get high. Life is all about getting high. The reason we have a drug problem in the black community is because the life has been sucked out of us because we're not properly being compensated. And if we're not properly being compensated, we can't invest to get returns. If we can't invest to get returns, and we're not properly being compensated, and the woman's not happy with the man is not happy with the woman, then we're not happy making children. She's not happy breastfeeding the child that looks like her husband. So she's not getting compensated, or she's not getting the oxytocin that she would get through breastfeeding. So we're not getting paid properly. The woman's mad at the father, so she ain't really looking to get that closer connected to a child that looks just like him. We don't have the money to invest, so we're not getting our returns there, but we still got to get high. So sex becomes a vice. Sex becomes a vice. Drugs become a vice. And we look for synthetic forms of getting high, because you cannot get through this existence without getting high. And I know that sounds wild. You cannot exist if you don't get high. So if you don't know how to naturally get high, you start taking drugs and you start having too much sex and you start doing anything you possibly can just to get a short spurts of it, because that's our life force. We're designed to get high, people. But they lied to you and then tell you you can naturally get high. We got to have a conversation about that. That's going to be another stream. You were designed to get high. That's a fact. You're supposed to get high. All right? And so having a vision and see it come to fruition is a high that we all look forward to. It's the type of high that we want to revisit, so we know success begets more success, most instances. Because once you achieve success and the associated things that come along with it, you feel so good about it, you're ready to go back to work again. It's addictive. But when you work and you don't get what you do, it takes you away from the natural high that you would do. The society is supposed to be set up where you get paid properly. And contrary to hyperinflation or superinflation or food inflation, when you get your recompense for that which you do, you're supposed to be able to use it for food, clothing, and shelter, and have something left over so you can do something nice for family, friends, and others. And through that, we get a high in society. But when you are no longer empowered to do for other people, when you're no longer even empowered to do for yourself, you cannot be happy. And so you start thinking negative, and then those negative thoughts do what? Magnetize you to the people that can feed that negativity. Magnetizes you to the places that feed that negativity. Magnetizes you to the things that feed that negativity. So it could be food, it could be anything, to create a dis-ease, a discomfort, because you exist in a dis-ease state where you're uncomfortable with your job, you're uncomfortable with your relationship, with your children, with your friends, with your family, and so now you are dis-ease, and that dis-ease will manifest, because if you're not, you're either manifesting or dealing with manifestation or man-infestation. If you're not being productive, you're being destructive. So that which you don't manifest will make you man-infest. Facts. It's not just a semantic, it's just reality. This is what I'm telling you. Reality is a tricky word. It's one of the most trickiest words on planet Earth, because we all make it every day for ourselves, and no one person's reality runs concurrent with another's. Facts to you all. Facts to you all. You know, just building with you. Just building with y'all. Loving y'all. Yep. And you don't got to be weak to use drugs. You know, we may speak like that to drive a point home to make you stronger, but I'm gonna tell you, you need to be high. So, can I get another coconut water, please? You need to be high. You know, that's how we're designed. But the manner in which we get high, is what gives us the problems. Because no one's disclosing to us you have to be high in order to exist. And that's going to be another conversation. I might do that for YouTube. I might tell y'all to tune into YouTube, and I'll prove to you why it's so important for you to get high. And the things that you can do to maintain a high. And that's why being an entrepreneur is more important now than it's ever been before. And this is what we call Kuina Akunu, spiritual economics, in our culture and in our language, Indu Asusu. We call this spiritual economics. We call this Kuina Akunu because we can't have spiritual freedom unless we have economic freedom. Being an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, puts you in a position where you work hard and you get the recompense associated with your hard work, whereby you can revisit getting a high from that which you created, because you're proud of yourself every day that you're able to sustain yourself through your own merit, through your own deeds, through your own vocation. Facts. Peace to the family from Nigeria. It's I Am Brother Polight. You just tune into the YouTube channel, I Am Brother Polight. We'll do that this week. I'll make sure. I'll probably do one in Las Vegas. I got to get out to Vegas. I'll probably do one out there. Word. How y'all like the stream, though? We doing good here? It's a good build? Just vibing with you. I'm chilling, man. You know, I turned 35, and I feel great. You know, I told the family, man, I ain't want to cut my nails. I ain't want to shape up my hair. I'm just letting this thing grow, and I just want to think. You know, I don't want to get too involved with too much things, man. I just came back from I was out the country. You know, I'm just traveling. I'm traveling wherever my wives are. I'm just going around, see each one of my wives, different countries, different states, my children, just moving around. So when I say I'm on a birthday tour, I'm just making it happen. I'm either going where somebody always wanted to go, or I'm going where they are, and I'm just making it happen. And we just having fun. So my daughters would be like, yo, meet us in this state over here. We know you want to go to this state, and I go over there. My wife would be like, yo, I'm in this country over here. I know you always want to go here. So I've been traveling a lot, like 24 hours at a time. Boom, stay there, 24 hours, go somewhere else. So that's what I've been doing. I've been traveling. That's what I've been wanting to do for this particular birthday. It's been fun. I just came back from the Cayman Islands. From the Cayman Islands, I went to Miami. From Miami, went to LA. From LA to Vegas. From Vegas, I'm going to another island. I got to find out which island that is. But yeah, I'm moving around. Yeah, so I get a high for life sharing this information, because when I walk these streets and someone tells me, man, you've empowered me, you've changed my life, I feel so good from that. I feel great knowing I've had that impact on someone that I may not even met personally. That's strong. If I haven't even met you in person, and I'm helping to edify you, and I'm helping you to be on the path where you treat your wife better, or your wife is a better woman to her man, or either one of the two are better parents to their children, or may have been down on themselves because the family might be a bit broken, but now I've restored hope, and not just giving them blind faith, giving them some of the tools needed to rebuild themselves during these hardships, then I'm here for you. And these streams are more powerful than many people will let you know or care to realize, because there's a lot to gain from sharing information like this. So many of us tuning in at the same exact time. It's all about being positive. That's what it's about. It's all about being positive. You know, if you're interested in mentorship, and don't undermine the power of a metaphysical consultation, because I'm not on no spooky stuff. I'm always going to say the reason why you're taking this herb is because it corresponds with this frequency, and this is the frequency that eliminates cancer. And I'm always going to give you the knowledge so you can look it up, and you can be confident that, you know what, I'm on my metaphysics, but I'm really dealing with mathematics. I'm not dealing with the pseudo form of what we think metaphysics is. Metaphysics still ascertains the physics. still deals with math and still deals with science, which means it still can be calculated. And in our evaluation, we could come to terms with the fact that there are things that come off as mystical only because the product that we call chance is just explanation about what we don't know and what we would like to believe. That's all that is. Thank you so much for the love, family. Y'all are an excellent birthday gift. This is part of the way I wanted to celebrate my birthday. It was yesterday, but it's a whole month as far as I'm concerned. It's every single day if we take it a step further, but particularly in this month of August, you know, I'm rocking out until Scorpio season.
Yeah. You hurt?
You know, we had to have the homeboy activity coming.
Hey, Mama. What's up? I got a song. Me and Jacob?
Almost. Say peace.
Hey. Please. Right?
You know that's her child. Oh yeah, take some.
Thank you.
You know that is her child. They both did it. She wasn't even here when Aminette did hers. That's how you know. That was scary.
She don't look like me, but she got two jeans. I know, right?
That was scary. That was super scary, man.
Right? High five me.
Finish this, right?
Yeah, you got it. That was scary how you did that. They crazy. Came in with the same energy. The Senate president said, right, Matt, what's goody? Jew. Juice.
Hey. What up, Batum? What's up?
Ain't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, we're gonna see you soon, my brother. Looking forward to it too, King.
You already.
They still with the hood talk. I gotta send them to a
Inside is soft.
conscious people boot camp, man. I don't know. I'm losing them to the streets right now.
I gotta get a spoon.
Is the jelly in yours hard, right?
No, it's soft. Look.
Oh man, that's it. That's life. I like it when it's soft. You know what I mean? Yeah. Jude said, "What's up?" He miss y'all. All right.
Is he too?
Yeah, everybody miss you, brother. Yeah, man, Hawk, all of that. But yeah, family. Yeah, I'm gonna be in DC. I'm heading east on this birthday tour in the latter stages of August. Y'all know, I'll let you know. But I'm definitely gonna be on the east side. I'm gonna be in New York, all of that. So let's get it in. Peace to the family. I love y'all so much. Salute. Remember, share this video if you love the information that you heard. And if you're interested in consulting, I'm here. $200 an hour, $300 an hour in person, $200 over the phone. And then also, there's mentorship. It costs, but it pays. Always leave your name and your phone number when you email as well. Brother POLIGHT45 @gmail.com. Thank you so much. Salute.